Hello dear friends, welcome to Saturn in House 12. Saturn in Bhrigu Nandi Nadi astrology is the planet of your profession. Yes, what happens when Saturn sits in the 12th house? We will find out. Do subscribe to my channel and share this video, and also if you want a consultation, my number is there in the video description. Friends, Saturn in Nadi astrology is the karma karak, the significator of your career, of your work. Saturn is also the significator of death, of longevity, of even non-attachment. Saturn is the significator of even research, analytical skills, in-depth knowledge. Saturn is a significator of justice, time, patience, perseverance, hard work, repetitive work. Saturn is the significator of discipline, punctuality. Saturn is the significator of darkness, secrecy. It is the significator of fear also. It is also the significator of obstacles. Yes, the significator of all pain and sorrow also. Saturn represents the working class, the masses, the fourth grade staff or employees in any organization, the scavengers, the domestic help, the daily wage laborers, all workers and, subordinates. Saturn represents them. Even Saturn represents the old people. Now Saturn is sitting in your 12th house. What is the 12th house? The 12th house is the house of hidden enemies, hidden fears, hidden desires, whatever is hidden. Yes, 12th house is the house of secrets. So secret means hidden knowledge even. So whatever is hidden. And 12th house is also 12th from the first house. First house where you have your ascendant. Yes. So 12th house is, the first house stands for the self. 12th house is selflessness, the negation of the self or the loss of the self. You can also say the loss of identity. Maybe it is a house which shows that how the individual identity or the self is to be merged with the infinite, the divine energy. That is why it is also the house of spirituality, of spiritual liberation or moksha. 12th house is the house of non-attachment. It is also the house of darkness, of hidden fears, I told you, of secrets, of mysteries. 12th house is the house of the foreign land, staying in a foreign land or traveling to a foreign land, settling down in a foreign land, having connections with foreign land. All these things are seen from the 12th house. 12th house also stands for all kinds of addictions. Because 12th house is a house, the matters of which are beyond our control. We cannot control those matters of the 12th house. And hence, addiction is also something which is beyond one's control. In a way, it is beyond one's control, because if the addiction is a serious one, then it's very difficult for the person to come out of that. So that is also seen from the 12th house. The subconscious is seen from the 12th house. So 12th house is also the house of dreams, of imagination, of fantasies. The 12th house is also the house of the unconscious, and hence it is also the house of, sleep. It is the house of rest. But while you are asleep, the mind is actually, at a subconscious level also. That is why, when one is in sleep, one may, have a dream. Yes, so that is the subconscious state of the mind. Yes. So the subconscious is seen from the 12th house, and hence your hidden desires, your suppressed desires, they are also seen from the 12th house. Even your unknown fears, they are also seen from the 12th house. So friends, 12th house is also the house of confinement, of withdrawal. Yes, confinement, of solitude, of isolation. And hence, hospitals, asylums, prisons, hermitages, they are all seen from the 12th house. 12th house, Saturn is now in the 12th house of your chart. In the chart of the Kalpurush or cosmic man, the lord of the 12th house is Saturn. The lord of the 12th house is Jupiter, because you have the sign Pisces there. So Saturn is now in the house of Jupiter. So you also have to look at the situation in which Jupiter is placed in the chart. Jupiter and Saturn have a neutral relationship. So if Jupiter is well placed, then definitely the results that you're going to get from the 12th house, they will be good or better. Friends, the significator of the 12th house in the chart of the cosmic man, Saturn is the significator of the 12th house. And Saturn is now sitting in the 12th house. It is the significator of the 12th house. Even Ketu is also considered to be the significator of the 12th house, because Ketu is also regarded as Mokshkarak, the significator of spiritual liberation. That is Ketu. So Ketu along with Saturn, you can say both of them are the significators of the 12th house. So also we should look at the condition of Ketu in the chart. If Ketu is also well placed, then definitely, Saturn in the 12th house also will give you good results. Yes. Charity is also seen from the 12th house, because 12th house is the house of selflessness. Friends, we also need to look at the nakshatra and zodiac sign in which Saturn is placed. The nakshatra lord or star lord, how is that planet placed in the chart? That also will decide the results that Saturn will deliver in the 12th house. You need to look at the zodiac sign in which Saturn is placed. 12th house is also the house of all kinds of losses. All kinds of losses. Loss of money, loss of energy, loss of time, loss of resources, loss of everything is seen from the 12th house. So now Saturn, if Saturn is in Libra, exalted in Libra, if Saturn is in its own signs, Capricorn and Aquarius, then usually, Saturn will be able to restrict all kinds of losses that are seen from the 12th house. Because in order to restrict those losses, Saturn has to be powerful, yes? And Saturn will be powerful in its own signs or in its sign of exaltation, that is Libra, or Saturn also will be powerful in its friendly signs, in Taurus, Gemini and Virgo. Saturn will be powerful also in those signs. Then Saturn will be able to protect you from losses. Yes, that is seen. But friends, 12th house is the house of loss. So Saturn is the planet of restriction and limitation. So Saturn will no doubt restrict those losses. But it's not that you won't experience any kind of loss at all. Yes? So because the 12th house also shows, the loss of time, the loss of energy. So better to, use your energy in something constructive. Yes? Maybe you can, lose your energy in, teaching somebody about something which is worthwhile. You can, use your energy in helping others. Yes? As I said, in teaching, in preaching. Or you can do one thing, you can do some donation. You can donate your money. So then what will happen, because 12th house energy, Saturn is in the 12th house. So definitely that energy is now there. Saturn, after all, is seated in the 12th house. Especially it is seen if Saturn, is in inimical signs. Then, say Saturn is in Leo or even Cancer or Scorpio. Then it is also seen that the person, has to spend on things he doesn't want to spend. I mean, he unwillingly he has to spend on matters, on various, matters he has to spend. And also, it is seen that, Saturn will, restrict the expenditure also. Because you see, friends, Saturn's third aspect will also fall on the second house, the house of accumulated wealth. So, accumulated wealth also will be restricted by Saturn. So, if accumulated money is restricted, then naturally the native will not be able to spend much also. So Saturn will now restrict the expenditure of money. That is also seen from the 12th house. Yes, Saturn will restrict. But if it is in inimical signs, if it is not well placed, and if it is under some malefic influence, then the native will experience losses and will have to, face expenditure against his will. So the best remedy is to donate some money to the poor, needy, unprivileged. That is the best remedy. To old age homes, yes, to people who are physically challenged, who are sick, diseased. If you donate some money or helping, people who, work for you, your subordinates, or, the domestic help, the helpers, in the household, trying your best to help them in some way or the other. That is the best remedy for Saturn in the 12th house. So, you are already now spending some money, you are helping them out. So, that energy you are already using. So, whenever we look at the Vimshotri Dasha, yes, so the Dasha system in astrology is there. So we look at the Dasha, it is followed in KP astrology, Vimshotri Dasha. Even you have the Dasha in Parashari astrology. So whenever the Dasha or Antar Dasha or Pratyantar Dasha of Saturn will come, then at least you will be saved from losses if you are in the habit of donating something to the unprivileged and downtrodden. So friends, Saturn now in the 12th house is seated in the 12th house. Saturn is also, Saturn's aspect is there on the 6th house. That is Saturn's 7th aspect. 6th house is also the house of your job. Yes? And again, because it's your daily routine, your job, your service. And Saturn is also aspecting the 9th house. That is Saturn's 10th aspect is on the 9th house. 9th house is the house of your fortune. And Saturn is seated in the 12th house, the house of foreign land. So there is a very strong indication that the native might have to change his job and leave his native place and settle down in a foreign land. Foreign land may be a different country altogether, or it may be a different state within the same country, a different culture. Because Saturn's aspect is also there on the house of your fortune. So maybe that is your destiny. And actually, Saturn will definitely give you results over time. So when Saturn is placed in the 12th house, it is an indication. Saturn is primarily the significator of your karma or profession. So it is an indication that the native, will do well in his profession if he leaves his native place and if he travels to some foreign land and he settles down there and he does begins some work, some new work, or he adopts some profession in that foreign land. So that will be beneficial for the native. So there is a strong indication if Saturn is in the 12th house. Friends, 12th house is also the house of bed pleasures. And Saturn is also the planet of impotency. In Nadi astrology, we also consider Saturn's 9th aspect, which is a trinal aspect. It is also falling on the 8th house. Saturn's 9th aspect. 8th house is also the house of sex, the sex life of the native. So Saturn is aspecting now the 8th house. The life after marriage is also seen from the 8th house. Yes? So Saturn is aspecting that aspect of your life. And Saturn is now seated in the house of bed pleasures. So there is a strong indication that the native's sex life might be in a mess. It might be troublesome. There is a strong indication. Unless there are other planets to, relieve him from that situation. But yes, this is an indication of Saturn in the 12th house. Now friends, Saturn is seated in the 12th house. Sometimes what happens is that Saturn is, say, in Virgo, in the 12th house, and the native, is a Virgo ascendant also. In certain charts, you will see that the same zodiac sign occurs in 2 consecutive houses. It happens. Especially if you look at the KP chart. Yes, you should follow the KP chart to look at the house in which a planet is placed. I have made a video earlier on which chart you should look at to follow the house in which a planet is placed. And you should follow the KP chart. In order to know the zodiac sign in which a planet is placed, you should follow the Rashi chart or D1 chart. So friends, I have a video D1 chart versus KP chart. Please watch that video. So you will see that, sometimes two zodiac signs, they will be there in two consecutive houses. Say Saturn is in Virgo and the ascendant sign is also Virgo. So we can say that though Saturn is in the 12th house, Saturn is in some sort of conjunction with the ascendant. So there is some conjunction with the Lagna or the ascendant. Ascendant is in the first house, the house of your health. So Saturn is an airy planet. Yes, friends. And Saturn also causes pain in the knee joints. Yes, pain in the knee joints, even gastric trouble, intestinal problems also. These are caused by Saturn. And Saturn is conjunct the ascendant. So, in such a situation, you may see that though Saturn is in the 12th house, because it is conjunct the ascendant, the native may have, joint pain in the knees especially. The native may have gastric trouble or intestinal problem that might be there, because Saturn is conjunct the ascendant. And friends, Saturn now is in the 12th house. So what else we can say? That there will be some delay in foreign travel or in your settlement in a foreign land. Saturn requires 30 years to complete its first round of transit. That is, Saturn will cross over all the 12 signs of your horoscope and will complete one full round of transit in 30 years. 30. That is called the first round of transit of Saturn. So after the period of 30 years, Saturn will give its results slowly and steadily. And hence you can say that after the age of 35, the native will definitely, there will be a possibility of, traveling to a foreign land and maybe settling down there and finding his profession there, finding a new identity there. But yes, that will happen after 30 or 35 years of age, because Saturn is the planet of delay. Yes, it will not deny the results, but there will be some delay. And friends, Saturn's 9th aspect in Nadi astrology is a very auspicious trinal aspect, is falling on the 8th house of joint assets that you build after marriage with your spouse or life partner. So there is also an indication that if Saturn is in the 12th house, the native will have joint assets with his spouse. Eventually, over time, he will be able to build his own assets. That is, anyway, Saturn is also the significator of any kind of construction, houses. Saturn is the significator of all that. So, buildings. So, the native will have his, joint assets after marriage or after the age of 36. He will build his assets. He will gain some inheritance. It will take time, there will be some delay, but he will do that. So if Saturn is in the 12th house, it is also seen that the native, may have more than one house. And it is also seen that, the native may have, more than one house or more than one flat or apartment. Like he may have his, maybe at least he may have a number of houses. That is also seen. If depends on the dignity of Saturn. So he will build his own assets. That is also seen. Friends, it is also the house of imagination. So if Saturn is in inimical signs, it is also seen that the native, it restricts the native's imagination. Depends on the sign. If it is an inimical sign especially, it happens. Because then Saturn is not in good dignity and it will restrict the native's imagination. The native will only believe in tangible things, in things which he can see, which he can hear and feel. He will not be able to use his imagination much. And he also might be someone who's very nervous, who's always gripped by a sense of fear. There may be a lack of confidence in such a person. Yes, that may happen. If Saturn is not in good dignity in the 12th house, if Saturn is in good dignity, yes, in a favorable zodiac sign and in a favorable nakshatra, then after the age of 30, 35, the native may also turn towards spirituality. He may have an inclination, towards spirituality, because Saturn also, endows you with a sense of non-attachment. So he may have some inclination towards charity also. Definitely, he will be interested in charity, in donating whatever he can, to help the poor, needy, unprivileged. So that will happen if Saturn is in good dignity, especially in friendly signs or, in a good zodiac sign. If it is if it is in an inimical sign, or if Saturn is under some malefic influence, then definitely yes, the native may not be very charitable. Yes, Saturn will restrict that desire to even do some charity. Saturn can restrict that as well. So friends, Saturn in the 12th house. Yes, Saturn, the first house is the house of the self. It is the house of attachment. 12th house is the house of non-attachment. Yes, it is the house that signifies letting go of things. It stands for non-attachment, letting go of things. Now, if Saturn is seated there, so no matter how Saturn is seated there, it will be a little difficult for the native to let go of things. Yes, he will cling on to his past, and it will be difficult for him to forget everything and move on. It is a little difficult to let go. And if Saturn is in the 12th house, sometimes the native is gripped by some unknown fear that is also seen. Some hidden fear. But yes, Saturn will restrict the hidden enemies and all. Saturn will restrict because Saturn is in the 12th house. If Saturn is in good dignity, so Saturn will restrict. And Saturn's aspect is also falling on the 6th house of enemies. So if Saturn is in good dignity, Saturn will restrict all enemies. But the native, may experience some unexplained fear that may happen, or some worry, some unexplained fear, and he may have some suppressed desire within him. Some suppressed desire, yes, that might be there. Yes, and because Saturn's trinal aspect, 9th aspect, is also falling on the 8th house. 8th house is also the house of pain and sorrow. So if Saturn is in the 8th house, in the 12th house, then some sorrow, some pain is buried deep within the native. That is why Saturn is also the planet of, non-attachment. So after, a certain age, after 35, 36, the native, turns towards, he may even turn towards occult knowledge, because 9th aspect is on the 8th house. He may turn towards any kind of occult sciences or like astrology or spiritual knowledge also. Yes, because 10th aspect is also on the 9th house of spiritual knowledge. So he may be inclined towards spirituality. That is seen. And friends, 12th house also shows the expenditure of energy, the loss of energy. And Saturn is in the 12th house. So such a native may lose a lot of energy in his work, because Saturn signifies your work or profession. So his profession may, require, or his profession may, make him lose a lot of energy. And he may find it difficult to, get rest, because 12th house is also the house of rest or sleep. Such a native, may not have a peaceful sleep, because Saturn is again obstacle, hindrance, restriction. So the native's sleep may not be very peaceful. It may be disturbed. He may have insomnia, loss of sleep also. So the best remedy or advice for people who have Saturn in the 12th house is that you need to rest. You need to get proper sleep every day. That's very important. Yes, you are spending your energy, spend it in your work. Yes, do some constructive work and spend your energy. That is a good thing, because anyway you have to lose your energy or resources, because that's a 12th house. So better to use your energy in your work. But then we need to maintain a balance between work and rest. You need to also find rest and get proper sleep. Friends, in the part 2 of the video, which will come up very soon, I will discuss the aspects that Saturn will cast on the various houses of your chart in greater details. So do subscribe to my channel and share this video. Thank you so much.